Okay guys, we are into the final lecture of Module 7. The plan is to get through the remaining kind of 2.5 pages of notes here. And once we're done with that, my intention is to have a Google Meet session with you guys where we can maybe see some faces and you guys can, we can interact a little bit. That'll probably be planned for Thursday, where I'll also talk about reviewing a little bit and what I want you to look over. And your test over Module 7 is probably going to be Friday, okay? So plan on an assignment Friday that will be an assessment over everything that we've done so far. So Module 1, Module 7 Part 1 questions, Module 7 Part 2 questions are the two big things, and then we've got your assessment coming up. But let's get into these notes, let's finish them up, and then we can use the next day as our Google Meet to kind of communicate and go over how it's been going for you, because I know it's a crazy situation for all of us, and I think a little bit of human interaction, even if it's over a computer screen, might be a good thing for all of us. So hopefully you guys can make that on Thursday when we do a little meeting. I'll send an invite out for you and give you the instructions, okay? So we are at the Bear Flag Revolt. Like I said, we're gonna kind of cruise along. If I can find my clicker, here it is. I always lose my clicker anyway, so when we're back in class, you'll realize how much I do that. But the Bear Flag Revolt is dealing with California, and it's really simple. Once all these wars and things have gone on with Santa Anna, California wants to be free, okay? They want independence from Mexico. President Polk had tried to set them up and pay for it, the $25 million that we talked about in our previous lecture. Mexico had said no, so California's kind of in limbo, all right? This is the Bear Flag Republic that they like to call themselves in 1846, but they are looking for statehood as well, okay? President Polk basically is telling people, go there, settle there, we'll take care of it down the road. I mean, almost kind of secretly wanting them to do it, and Mexican settlers are going to fight those guys. There's going to be battles. There's going to be Wild West showdowns between Mexican settlers and American settlers crossing in who aren't following the rules. And it's going to lead to a lot of tension, okay? President Polk does what he did with Texas. He kind of rolls the army over there into California, in parts of the north. And before you know it, California is going to be placed into American control. So we are kind of flexing our muscle with Mexico again when it comes to what's going on. And it's time to push forward, right? So here's the deal. We're going to go back to the war with Mexico because I have to explain to you a political situation, because what you need to understand about our country is that politics plays such a huge role in about every decision that is made. Okay, as you grow older and learn to appreciate our system of government and how things kind of go, when you get to my age and you're 23 years old and you're involved in what's taking place and you want to see what's happening, you'll see it was no different politically even 200 years ago. Okay, so here's the deal. Remember our boy General Taylor? I told you about him. We sent him down to the Rio Grande, right? And the Mexican army came at him and he crushed him. He destroyed him, right? Well, he wants to go get Santa Anna this time. Santa Anna is kind of cowering in Mexico City. He heard that the United States Army is going to cross the river. War has been declared, and they're going to march into Mexico City, because that's what you do. You take the capital city, you put the president, or in this case, the dictator, on trial. You do what you got to do, and you take control of that area, right? Well, here's the thing. General Taylor wins this big old battle at Buena Vista, okay? And what you're gonna learn is that the United States loves military heroes. We love people who are winners. I mean, who doesn't, right? In life, we like people that are winners. We gravitate sometimes to those individuals. And General Taylor was becoming a huge fan favorite in the United States. Okay, he was gaining that power, that influence. He probably had a couple buddies saying, this might lead to something bigger down the road for you if you keep winning all these battles, right? So there's a big controversy that pops up, and it's really simple. President Polk loves Taylor because he is whooping up on Santa Anna, okay? He really does. He thinks he's awesome, but there's a problem, okay? Taylor is a Whig, okay? So Taylor is a member of the opposing party of the President of the United States. So in this case, President Polk has to think about his future now. Never mind how influential and powerful and successful General Taylor is. Now he's thinking down the road about what may take place. What if, if Zach Taylor throws his hat in the ring to become president, he'll probably beat Polk. Okay, so he's concerned. Election coming up, and President Polk has to make a decision. Okay, President Polk basically relieves Taylor of his command. So I want you to imagine you are about to win something huge, just something big. You've been planning for it, you've been preparing for it, and someone taps you on the shoulder, and it's another person that's kind of equal to you in terms of your status, and says, I got it. That's exactly what took place. Now I want you to imagine and just think what political party this man belonged to, right? He is a Democrat. He is Polk's buddy. And Winfield Scott is told, relieve Taylor, send him back up to Washington, and you go get all the glory. Just imagine how that might make you feel if you've been working on something, for all this time and someone else gets that recognition, right? You're gonna be upset. And General Scott lands in Veracruz, marches down to Mexico. There are some battles, things are going on, but in the end, he's gonna win. This is just a little side note. Santa Anna had a prosthetic leg, okay? And it's actually in the Illinois State Museum in Springfield, okay? It was actually taken off of him during the battles. After several battles, Scott captures Mexico City. As you get closer to the capital, the fighting gets much more fierce, but the United States is too powerful. The U.S. troops storm the Capitol, they storm the palace, and it's over. Okay, so we are no longer at war with Mexico. All of the battles that we've discussed in the previous week have come to an end with this treaty, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. Okay, number one, Mexico no longer just has a border that they have to deal with. They give up all claims to Texas. So all of the Mexican settlers living in Texas now come under control of the United States of America. Number two, the Rio Grande is the border. It is still the border of Mexico and the United States today. Number three, we get more land. Mexico is going to sell this territory to the United States. Now, when you think about it, we probably could have just taken all of that, right? But we still chose, in some effort of good faith, to offer the Mexican government some money for all of this territory. And that concept, that term of manifest destiny, there it is, right? We are forming our country into what we expected it or what we see it today, didn't we? All right, Mexico loses all of this territory, okay? So it used to be like this, now it's basically right there. They're gonna lose half of their territory. This was another question from your notes. And it's called the Mexican Secession, okay? They give up this territory, they secede it to the United States, and it's basically the border and the states that have been formed that we see today in the United States, okay? If you flip it over onto page 8 as we continue moving on, there are some consequences, okay? Because if you live in those territories and you're of Mexican descent, now it's a brand new ball game, isn't it? You are gonna probably get the short end of the stick when it comes to disputes with American settlers that are moving in. And you have 75,000 people living in this territory that was just given up. So you have choices. You can choose to go back into Mexico, but what if you are a multi-million-dollar rancher, and you've got a huge farm and you've made a living? You might try to stick it out, right? So there are disputes between these settlers. Now, if you had to guess, if it's a dispute between an American settler and a Mexican settler, and the Mexican people have just lost, their country lost the war, you can imagine who's probably gonna win any dispute when it comes to land in this new territory, okay? And they lose in court. It's really simple. If an American settler had a claim to a piece of land, and a Mexican settler had a claim, the United States court is gonna favor with the American settler. Rather than even necessarily look at whether or not who's right or wrong, the American settler is going to win 9 times out of 10. Unfortunately, we've got some settlers living in Mexico who are going to have to resort to violence. Okay, they will have to kind of be on the run. They will attack. They will hit and run different American settlers, small towns. They will raid them and get material and food and supplies or what they need and be on the run. And this leads to the creation of what's known as the Texas Rangers. Any sports fans out there, the Texas Rangers are the baseball team that represents the state of Texas, the Major League Baseball team. And the Texas Rangers are still known as the state police of Texas at this time. So they are given the job of hunting these people down and protecting American settlers, okay? They will pursue them, and they do what we call vigilante justice, which basically means they don't wait for the court system. This usually ends in some type of death for the Mexican settlers, the banditos, like they used to say, the vigilantes that would attack. The Rangers did their own justice rather than wait for the court system, and at that time, in that area, in that part of the country, everyone seemed to be okay with it. Latino resentment of the United States existed for many years. We still have that resentment that rests in our country and parts of our country today, and it traces all the way back. Okay, what you might be seeing today in the news at times traces all the way back to what we're talking about right here. Okay, we're going to finish what's known as the California Gold Rush. Basically, you got a man by the name of John Sutter chilling on his land. He's got a stream that goes through his land, and he sees something shiny. Let's say something. It's not a massive piece of gold. I don't want you to think of something that's like 50 pounds that's worth $1 million. It's small specks of gold that he sees on his territory. Okay. He found it, and word got out that he had some gold on his land, and that's the key word, isn't it? Gold, get rich quick, and people are going to flock to his territory, which is in present day Sacramento. Okay, so this is a picture of his mill. Now, if you can't really tell, it's massive. Okay, and where they're looking for the gold, because there he is right there in the bottom to give you some perspective in terms of how big this place was. Okay, people are going to flock there. About 80,000 people will be there in 1849. I want you to take a look at this this date, this year. I always use sports references when I can. And for those of you that know the San Francisco 49ers, now you know where they got their nickname from. It's directly from 1849 when everyone flocked to this territory to look for gold. So that is where San Francisco, the National Football League team, which was actually in the Super Bowl last year, came up with their name. It's from all of the gold they went looking for in 1849. People were called the 49ers, like I said, and this is what California looked like before the gold rush. So if you look, you've got just some ships, small, nice village here, not much going on, and there it is years later. It is a metropolis. There are thousands of people living there. The city of San Francisco is growing at an alarming rate. You've got the Chinese coming in from the Atlantic Ocean. You've got the settlers pushing in from the Midwest. You've got the people living there, the Mexican settlers dealing with the American settlers. It is a melting pot. It is that melting pot of our country. Okay? Most 49ers are traveling across those Great Plains. We talked about the Oregon Trail. Hopefully all of you are taking an opportunity to play the Oregon Trail. I still play that game. Especially when I post this up here for you guys to do. I've been doing this the last few years with my U.S. history classes. It's a nice break, but that is something that I did when I was your age and even younger in my small Catholic grade school back in 1900 or when I was in school. And it's just a fun game, right? The graphics compared to what we're used to seeing today. I hope you enjoyed that part, and it was a little release from all the chaos of your online learning, okay? Clearly, most did not strike it rich. People here struggling to find what they can, but all it took was that one small piece, perhaps. Native Americans, again, are going to be thrown off of their land. They're going to be pushed around if there's any instance of gold being found. Native Americans, again, are being moved or removed from land that they believed was for everyone. Clearly, we are about property and owning and taking at this time. and the Native Americans don't mesh with that concept, and it's going to cause problems down the road. And then we've got all these Chinese Americans Chinese that are migrating to the United States, who are going to help to build that transcontinental railroad. And there's no law and order. It is the Wild West. It's chaos. The United States government, the reach of the law really hasn't made it there. You've got the Lone Rangers in Texas. You've got just fending for yourself, kind of keeping your head low, staying out of people's way in parts of California. Okay? Life was extremely rough for these people. And we get to the last page of your notes. We need a railroad. If we've got thousands and thousands living here, we've got people moving into our area, Illinois, Chicago, St. Louis, and whatnot. Now we need a railroad to get everyone to that new territory. Okay? Some Americans began settling in the Great Plains. What we found out was it's not a desert like we talked about in our first lecture. It's actually a good place to settle. And here's the biggest issue that we will continue to dive into with each of our modules. California wants to join, but look at that. California wants to join without slavery, which is a huge issue politically, because if Texas is going to join as a slave state, and California is going to join as a free state, that balance might be equaled out again when it comes to laws being passed that won't favor or not favor one side or the other. Okay, so this kind of gets us through our notes, triggers a massive debate. We're going to continue to dive into this issue as we go along, and this brings us to the end of our notes. So we are through the entire set of notes for Module 7. These are posted again in your classroom. I posted the PowerPoint and the notes, and every lecture is in the stream. And I encourage you to also subscribe to my YouTube channel. I believe it's just Jeremy Stopka, which will allow you to see any videos that you may have missed. I think it's important for you to watch these videos to get some interaction, to hear my emotion with some of these things that we're talking about. I wish you were here to ask questions, but we will make do the best we can. So after you are done with these notes, make sure you have everything kind of compiled in terms of your homework turned in. And my hope is to have that Google Meet on Thursday. And I will also post in the classroom about what you can look to review for your test on Friday. Okay? I hope you guys are having a good day. It is hot. Stay hydrated. If you are outside, take care of yourselves, and we will be in touch. Okay? Have a good one. Talk to you later. Bye.